Commander Alice Brooks stood tall on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station. The massive alien ships had appeared 3 days ago, positioning themselves in perfect geometric formation around Earth. Their sleek designs gleamed against the blackness of space, beautiful yet terrifying in their obvious technological superiority. "They're hailing us again," Lieutenant John Miller said, his voice tight with anxiety. "This is the 4th attempt." Alice nodded. "Then I suppose we should answer." The room fell silent as the communication screen flickered to life. The alien that appeared had blue-tinted skin with intricate patterns across its forehead. It wore what seemed to be ceremonial robes of deep purple. "I am High Counselor Vexteri of the Galactic Council," the alien said, its voice translated through Earth's hastily adapted systems. "Your continued delay in formal response is unusual." Alice stepped forward. "I am Commander Alice Brooks of the Earth Defense Force. We needed time to consult with our global leadership." Vexteri tilted his head. "Consultation was unnecessary. We are not here to ask. The Galactic Council brings order to all sentient species. Your world will now join our collective. Prepare your leaders for instruction." The command center staff exchanged worried glances, but Alice kept her expression neutral. "I'm afraid that's not how we do things on Earth, Counselor. We're open to peaceful relations and cultural exchange, but Earth maintains its independence." A ripple of movement passed through the aliens visible on the screen, something like surprise. "Perhaps you misunderstand," Vexteri said. "The Council has incorporated over 3,000 worlds. None remain independent. This is not negotiable." Alice crossed her arms. "Everything is negotiable, Counselor." "Commander," John whispered urgently, "maybe we should consider." Alice raised her hand to silence him. The alien's eyes narrowed at the interaction. "Your species is primitive," Vexteri said. "Your technological level is barely spacefaring. We could end all life on your world with a single command." "Then why haven't you?" Alice asked calmly. "If domination is your only goal, why contact us at all?" The alien hesitated, clearly not expecting the question. "The Council prefers willing integration. It reduces waste." Alice stepped closer to the screen. "Let me be clear, Counselor. Humans don't respond well to threats. If you want to talk as equals, we're listening. If you're expecting submission, you'll be disappointed." Vexteri studied her for a long moment. "Perhaps a demonstration would help you understand your situation." He made a gesture, and one of the smaller alien ships moved position. A beam of light shot from the vessel toward Earth's moon. A small crater appeared where it struck, the explosion visible even from the station. "That was at minimal power," Vexteri said. "Do you understand now?" Alice didn't flinch. "I understand perfectly. You've just confirmed you're exactly what we feared. Bullies with advanced technology." She turned to the communications officer. "End transmission." The alien's surprised face disappeared as the screen went dark. "Commander," John burst out, "you can't just." "I can, and I did," Alice said firmly. "If we show weakness now, Earth is finished." Her personal communication device beeped. "Brooks here." "Commander," came the voice of President Laura Martinez. "The Security Council has been monitoring. Report to Geneva immediately." 6 hours later, Alice stood before the hastily assembled United Nations Security Council. The room buzzed with tension and fear. "You ended negotiations with a species that could destroy us," General Frank Carter said, his face red with anger. "That was not your decision to make." Alice looked at each person at the table. With respect, they weren't negotiating. They were dictating terms. President Martinez leaned forward. "What do you suggest, Commander?" "Prepare for the worst while opening multiple channels of communication," Alice said. "Show strength and unity. If this council has encountered thousands of species, there must be some who resisted. We need to find them." The room fell silent as her words sank in. Outside, people around the world looked up at the alien ships visible in daylight. knowing something momentous had happened, but not yet understanding that humanity's first step into the galactic community had been one of defiance, a decision that would shake the foundations of interstellar power and forever change Earth's destiny. High Counselor Vexteri paced the gleaming floor of the council chamber. The massive room sat at the heart of the capital ship, its circular walls lined with seats for representatives of 12 advanced species. Many of those seats now held worried aliens watching his movement. "This is unprecedented," Vexteri said, his blue skin darkening with frustration. 3,000 worlds have joined our council. Some resisted briefly. Most welcomed our guidance. None have simply dismissed us. Chief Diplomat Zeraloth, a slender being with 6 eyes and silver skin, stepped forward. The humans show no proper fear. That makes them unpredictable. Across the chamber, Thalzor, a reptilian council member, tapped long claws against the metal table. Perhaps we approached incorrectly. These humans might respond to incentives rather than authority. Incentives. Vexteri stopped pacing. We offer order, protection, and advancement. What more could a primitive species want? Freedom, said a quiet voice from the shadows. All eyes turned to Elder Mevnar, the oldest council member. Her species had been among the first to join the council thousands of years ago. They value their independence more than our gifts. Vexteri waved a dismissive hand. A childish notion they will outgrow. Or die defending, Mevnar replied. Military Commander Krexspor, a massive being with armor-like skin, slammed his fist down. Then let them die. One decisive strike to their major cities will bring the rest to their knees. Zeraloth shook her head. We've studied their history. Humans often unify when attacked. Violence may strengthen their resolve rather than break it. What do you suggest then, diplomat? Krexspor sneered. A formal ultimatum, Zeraloth said. Clear terms, clear consequences, and a deadline. Let them understand fully what defiance will bring. Meanwhile on Earth, the planet's leaders gathered in an underground facility beneath the Swiss mountains. Maps and screens covered the walls, showing the positions of the alien ships. General Frank Carter pointed to the largest display. Their ships haven't moved, but they're scanning everything. Our satellites, defense systems, power grids, they're mapping it all. President Laura Martinez nodded grimly. And our options? Limited, Carter admitted. Our weapons would barely scratch their hulls based on what we've observed. Dr. Olivia Wright, a brilliant scientist with tired eyes and messy brown hair, stepped forward. Not necessarily. We've been studying the alien probe that landed in the Pacific 3 days ago. She placed a small device on the table. Their technology is advanced, but not incomprehensible. It operates on principles we can understand. How quickly can we adapt it? President Martinez asked. With global cooperation, faster than they might expect, Olivia said. They think in terms of centuries. We think in terms of days when our survival is at stake. The president turned to Commander Alice Brooks, who had been quietly observing. Your assessment, Commander. They expected us to either cower or attack foolishly, Alice said. We did neither. That bought us time, but they'll recover from their surprise soon. As if on cue, every screen in the room flashed with an incoming transmission. The face of Zeraloth appeared. People of Earth, the alien diplomat said, the Galactic Council brings you formal notice. You have 30 Earth days to accept membership and submit to Council authority. Refusal will result in pacification measures. There will be no further warnings. The transmission ended, leaving the room in silence. They think they're being generous, Alice noted, giving us time to come to our senses. President Martinez stood taller. Then let's use that time wisely. Dr. Wright, you have full authority for your research. General Carter, prepare our defenses. Commander Brooks, I want options beyond just fighting or surrendering. Across Earth, the message from space played on every device capable of receiving signals. Instead of panic, a strange calm settled over humanity. In homes and workplaces, people looked at each other with the same unspoken question. Who were these aliens to tell humans what to do? And in laboratories and military bases around the world, men and women worked with newfound purpose. 30 days wasn't long, but humans had accomplished the impossible in less time before. Captain George Winters checked his oxygen levels one more time. The spacesuit felt bulky, but it was their only protection as they floated silently toward the alien scout ship. 5 other soldiers drifted alongside him, their faces tense behind their visors. "Remember," George whispered into his comm, "we need this ship intact. No weapons unless absolutely necessary." Sergeant Maya Patel nodded, her dark eyes focused on the alien vessel ahead. Approaching entry point. Communications Specialist Garcia. "Are you ready?" William Garcia, the youngest team member, held up a small device. "Ready." Their security systems should be busy with the decoy signals we're broadcasting. The small human team reached the scout ship's hull. It was smaller than the massive council vessels sent to monitor Earth's communications and defenses, perfect for what they needed. Maya attached a device to the smooth metal surface. A small circle glowed blue, then green. "Cutting through," she whispered. Back on Earth, President Laura Martinez stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Every nation had sent representatives, the room packed with worried faces. "The ultimatum from the Galactic Council expires in 20 days, she said, her voice steady. "They expect us to use this time to prepare our surrender. Instead, we will use it to show them that humans do not bow to threats." Screens around the room showed the alien ships still hovering in Earth's orbit. "We have 3 advantages," President Martinez continued. "First, they underestimate us. Second, they want our world intact. And third, we have nothing to lose." The room erupted in applause as she outlined the global response plan. Every nation would contribute: scientists, soldiers, resources. Old conflicts were set aside in the face of this greater threat. In space, George's team had successfully entered the alien scout ship. The corridors were larger than human-sized, with strange markings on the walls. They moved silently, following the schematics Dr. Wright had theorized based on the recovered probe. "Life signs ahead," Maya whispered, checking her scanner. 2 beings, likely the minimum crew for a vessel this size. William worked on his device. "I think I can access their systems from this panel." The team froze as alien voices echoed down the corridor. George signaled, and they pressed against the walls. 2 tall beings walked past, not noticing the humans in their stealth suits. "Now," George ordered once the aliens passed. Maya moved with incredible speed, firing 2 tranquilizer darts specially designed by Dr. Wright. The aliens collapsed without making a sound. "William, get to work," George said. "We have 10 minutes at most before someone notices something's wrong." William connected his device to the ship's control panel. "I'm in, downloading everything. Star charts, communication protocols, weapons specifications." Maya secured the unconscious aliens. "These must be junior officers. The ship's too small for higher ranks." "Lucky for us," George replied. "Makes our job easier." On the Galactic Council's main ship, Zeraloth reported to the assembled members. "The humans appear to be considering our ultimatum." Their global communications showed debate and fear. Vex Terry nodded in satisfaction. As expected, they realized the futility of resistance. Commander Krexfor looked less convinced. "Their military forces are mobilizing, not disbanding. That suggests preparation for conflict." "Merely posturing," Vex Terry dismissed. "A primitive show of strength before inevitable surrender." Elder Mevinar's eyes narrowed. "Do not mistake unfamiliar behavior for weakness, Counselor. We know very little about these humans." In Earth orbit, George's team worked quickly to secure the alien ship. William downloaded the last of the data while Maya examined the ship's controls. "Can you fly it?" George asked. Maya nodded slowly. "I think so. It's intuitive once you understand the basics." "Good," George said. Because our orders just changed. We're not abandoning this ship. We're stealing it. William looked up in shock. That wasn't the mission. New orders from command, George replied, checking his communications device. Dr. Wright needs actual alien technology, not just data. We're taking this ship home. As they prepared for their daring escape, alarms suddenly blared throughout the scout ship. On the monitors, they could see the larger council vessels changing position. They know something's wrong, Maya said. We need to move now. Admiral Richard Nelson stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned Earth defense vessel Liberty, the first spacecraft built with the technology from the captured alien scout ship. Through the view screen, he watched as the small fleet of similar vessels took formation around him. They were ugly compared to the sleek alien ships, rushed constructions of human and alien technology mixed together. But they were humanity's best hope. 10 Council warships approaching lunar orbit, Admiral, reported the sensor officer. They're targeting our moon base. Richard nodded calmly, just as intelligence predicted. They want to flex their muscles without committing to full invasion. He turned to his communications officer. Signal all ships. Operation Surprise begins now. On the Council's command ship, High Counselor Vex Terry watched with satisfaction as his warships moved into position. The humans have established a small outpost on their moon. Destroying it will demonstrate our power without harming their main world. They will understand resistance is pointless. Commander Crexfor nodded in agreement. A wise strategy. The outpost appears to be uninhabited. No loss of life, just property. A measured response to their theft of our scout ship. Speaking of which, Zyraloth said, have we determined how they managed that feat? The crew reported being overpowered by stealth technology we didn't know humans possessed. Irrelevant. Crexfor dismissed. Their stolen ship is a minor scout vessel with limited capabilities. It changes nothing. On the view screen, the Council warships fired brilliant beams of energy at the moon base. The structures exploded in spectacular fashion, leaving only craters behind. Vex Terry allowed himself a small smile of satisfaction. Send the humans footage of the destruction, he ordered. Remind them they have 15 days remaining to. High Counselor. A subordinate interrupted, panic in its voice. Our ships are under attack. The view screen shifted to show impossible images. Dozens of defense platforms rising from hidden positions on the lunar surface. They were firing weapons that shouldn't exist. Energy beams similar to Council technology, but with a distinctive blue tint. Impossible, Crexfor whispered. Their technology is centuries behind this level. Before anyone could respond further, alarms blared through the command ship. Multiple vessels approaching from Earth orbit. The tactical officer reported. They appear to be human ships, but with Council weapon signatures. Admiral Nelson watched as his fleet engaged the surprised alien warships. All vessels, focus fire on target Alpha, he ordered. Use the targeting data Dr. Wright provided. The human ships moved with precision, concentrating their fire on specific points of the first Council warship. The alien vessel's shields flared and failed under the coordinated assault. They're vulnerable where their engine systems connect to their main power grid, Richard said, remembering Dr. Wright's briefing. That's where we hit them. The Council warship exploded in a brilliant flash. The human crew cheered, but Richard remained focused. Target Bravo next. Keep formation tight. On the Council command ship, chaos erupted. We've lost the dominance. An officer reported. 2 more vessels reporting critical damage. Crexvor's face darkened with rage. How? How did they adapt our technology so quickly? The scout ship had no weapons of that caliber. Vex Terry stood frozen, unable to comprehend the sudden reversal. Order a retreat, he finally managed. All ships fall back to safe distance. Retreat. From primitives. Crexvor snarled. A strategic withdrawal, Vex Terry snapped. We need to reassess. As the remaining Council ships withdrew, Admiral Nelson allowed himself a small smile. Pursuit? his executive officer asked. No, Richard replied. We've made our point. We can't overextend. He opened a channel to Earth. President Martinez, this is Admiral Nelson. Phase 1 complete. 3 enemy vessels destroyed, the rest in retreat. No casualties on our side. In her command center, President Martinez closed her eyes briefly in relief. Well done, Admiral. But this is just the beginning. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. Dr. Wright, working at a nearby console, looked up. We need more time. The data from the captured ship is giving us new insights hourly, but we need weeks, not days. Then we bought you some time, President Martinez said, and sent a message to the Council. Humanity isn't as primitive as they thought. In deep space, the retreating Council ships carried news that would shake the Galactic Council to its core. Humans weren't just resisting. They were winning. Lieutenant Nicole Harris guided her small scout ship through the asteroid field at the edge of the solar system. Her mission was simple but dangerous. Monitor Council movements beyond Neptune's orbit, where their reinforcements were gathering. The stolen alien technology made her vessel faster and harder to detect, but discovery would mean certain death. Picking up unusual readings, her co-pilot Sam Rogers said, checking his instruments. Not Council signatures, something different. Nicole frowned. More aliens? Just what we need. Wait, Sam adjusted the sensors. They're hailing us, on an Earth frequency. Nicole's hand hovered over the weapons controls. That's impossible. No one else should know. I suggest you answer, humans, a voice came through their communication system. We mean no harm, and we share a common enemy. After a moment of hesitation, Nicole opened the channel. This is Lieutenant Harris of Earth Defense. Identify yourselves. A ship appeared from behind a large asteroid. It was unlike the Council vessels, more organic in design, with flowing lines rather than geometric shapes. On the view screen, a tall, slender alien appeared. Its skin had a faint purple tint, with intricate markings that seemed to shift like water. I am Catherine of the Valthrani, the alien said. We have been watching Earth with great interest. Few stand against the Council. Fewer succeed. Nicole kept her expression neutral. What do you want? To help, Catherine replied. The Council drove my people to the fringes of the galaxy centuries ago when we refused to submit. We survive in the shadows, but now, the alien's expression shifted in what might have been a smile. Now we see an opportunity for change. Back on Earth, Dr. Olivia Wright worked frantically in her laboratory. The data from the captured ship had revealed much, but something wasn't adding up. The technology is advanced, she muttered to her assistant, but not impossibly so. It's like they've stopped innovating. Her computer terminal suddenly flickered. The screen went blank, then displayed a single line of text. Because they have. Help is coming. Look beyond normal channels. Olivia stared at the message. We've been hacked. The screen flickered again. Not hacked. Contacted. I am Mevnar, Council scientist. Many of us disagree with the path taken against Earth. In the Council's emergency session, the mood was grim. Reports of the battle loss had spread throughout their fleet. 3 warships destroyed by a species that barely reached their moon a century ago. Falzor said, scales bristling with agitation. How is this possible? Krexvor slammed his fist down. Treachery. Someone has given them technology. The Valthrani perhaps, or other outcasts. Or perhaps, Elder Mevnar said quietly, we have underestimated them. Humans adapt faster than any species we've encountered. It makes no difference. Vex Terry cut in. The full invasion fleet arrives in 5 days. We will overwhelm them with numbers. And if that fails? Zyroloff asked. What then? We've never faced this situation before. Then we use the planet killer, Krexvor said coldly. If we cannot have Earth, no one will. Several council members gasped. Mevnar's eyes narrowed. That violates our oldest laws. Desperate times, Krex 4 replied. Nichols' scout ship docked with the Valthrani vessel. Against her better judgment, she agreed to meet with their leader. Sam accompanied her, hand near his weapon. Inside, they found not just Valthrani, but aliens of several different species. The Resistance, Kethran explained. All of us refused council rule in one way or another. We've been scattered, hiding, surviving. Until now. Until now, Nickel repeated. Earth's defiance has inspired others. After you destroyed those warships, communications across council space lit up with the news. Several subject worlds are now watching closely. Watching for what? Sam asked. To see if resistance is possible. Another alien said, stepping forward. My world submitted 300 years ago. We've waited for a sign that the council could be opposed. Nickel looked at the gathering of aliens. You're saying we're not alone? Far from it, Kethran replied. And we bring gifts. Technology the council doesn't possess because they've grown complacent. Will you take us to your leaders? On Earth, Dr. Wright stared at her screen where Mevnar's message remained. Why are you helping us? She typed. The response came quickly. Because the council has lost its way. It was meant to unite, not conquer. Earth reminds us of what we once were. A file transfer request appeared on her screen. The council is planning something terrible. The message continued. Here are the plans for their planet killer weapon. You have 5 days. Ambassador Patrick Douglas adjusted his formal suit as the small diplomatic vessel approached the massive council headquarters. The mission was considered suicidal by many on Earth, but he had volunteered without hesitation. Someone had to try a different approach while the military prepared for the worst. Are you sure about this, sir? Asked his aide, Julie Bennett. We'll be completely at their mercy. Patrick nodded. The council is divided. Our intelligence from Mevnar confirms it. Some members want peace, others want war. We need to speak directly to all of them, not just the military faction. Their ship passed through the council's security field. It was a small unarmed vessel carrying only 5 humans, a deliberate show of peaceful intentions. The council had granted them safe passage, curious about this unexpected diplomatic mission. On the council ship, Vex Terry paced nervously. This is irregular. Humans should be preparing to surrender, not sending diplomats. Perhaps they are here to negotiate terms of surrender. Zyraloth suggested, though she didn't sound convinced. Or to spy on our defenses, Krex 4 growled. I say we arrest them immediately. Elder Mevnar shook her head. They come under diplomatic protection. We granted them safe passage. To violate that would break our oldest traditions. Traditions? Krex 4 scoffed. What good are traditions against a species that refuses to follow the natural order? The debate was interrupted as the human delegation entered the Grand Council chamber. Patrick surveyed the room, noting the positions of different alien representatives. Some looked hostile, others curious. A few even seemed sympathetic. Humans, Vex Terry addressed them. You stand before the full Galactic Council. State your purpose. Patrick stepped forward. I am Ambassador Patrick Douglas of Earth. I come with a message from our people. He paused, making eye contact with as many council members as possible. Not a message of surrender, but one of opportunity. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Krex 4 started to interrupt, but Vex Terry raised a hand to silence him, intrigued despite himself. For thousands of years, Patrick continued, the council has grown by adding new worlds to your collective. Some joined willingly, others had no choice. But when was the last time you truly grew? Not in size, but in understanding. The chamber fell silent as Patrick spoke passionately about Earth's history, how humans had overcome countless divisions and conflicts, how diversity of thought had driven innovation, and how freedom had enabled their rapid advancement. We refuse to join as subjects, Patrick concluded, but we offer something more valuable. Partnership. Earth as an equal member, bringing new ideas and approaches to a council that has, by your own records, changed little in centuries. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives shouted angrily, others nodded thoughtfully. Patrick stood calmly in the center, waiting. Meanwhile, far from the diplomatic mission, Commander Krexfor had secretly dispatched 5 warships toward Earth against direct orders. Bitter about the previous defeat and convinced that humans only understood force, he planned a surprise attack while their leaders were distracted by diplomacy. All weapons charge, his second-in-command reported. Earth defenses are not at full alert. They don't see us coming. Krexvor allowed himself a satisfied smile. Fire on my command. Target their primary military installations first. Before he could give the order, alarms blared across his ship. Admiral Richard Nelson's fleet appeared from behind Earth's moon, weapons already locked on the Council vessels. Impossible, Krexvor whispered. How did they know? On the bridge of the Liberty, Admiral Nelson received confirmation that all targets were locked. Send a message to the Council ships, he ordered. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. They're powering weapons, Admiral, his tactical officer reported. Richard nodded grimly. Then they've made their choice. All ships, open fire. The battle was brief but decisive. Earth's ships, now enhanced with Valthrani technology, as well as Council systems, tore through the attacking force. Within minutes, 3 Council ships were destroyed, and 2 severely damaged. Back in the Council chamber, a messenger rushed in and whispered urgently to Vexteri. The High Counselor's face paled visibly. What is happening? Thalzor demanded. Vexteri looked at Patrick, shock evident in his features. Commander Krexvor launched an unauthorized attack on Earth. Your forces just destroyed 3 more of our warships. Patrick's expression remained calm, though his heart raced. It seems, counselors, that you have more to fear from your own military commanders than from Earth. Captain Susan Lee crouched behind a console on the massive Council flagship. Her small team of 6 had infiltrated the vessel during the chaos following Krexvor's failed attack and Ambassador Douglas's surprising diplomatic success. Their mission was humanity's most daring gamble yet. Status. Susan whispered into her comm unit. Engine room secured, came the reply from Lieutenant Eric Powell. No casualties. The alien crew is locked in the storage bay. Communications center ready, reported Sergeant Ben Foster. Dr. Wright's device is in position. Awaiting your command. Susan checked her wrist display. The alien ship's layout glowed blue against the black screen, with her team's positions marked in green. They had trained for weeks in a replica built from the stolen scout ship's data, but the real vessel was far more intimidating. This is our only shot, Susan reminded her team. If this fails, Earth faces the full invasion fleet. All units, prepare to activate on my mark. Back on Earth, Dr. Olivia Wright paced nervously in the control center. President Martinez and Admiral Nelson watched her with concerned expressions. The device will work, Olivia said, more to herself than to them. The Valthrani technology combined with what we learned from Mevinar's data, it has to work. How exactly does it affect their systems? President Martinez asked. Olivia stopped pacing. The Council fleet uses a unified communications network. It's efficient, but it creates a vulnerability. Our device will insert a cascading failure code that will temporarily disable their weapons and navigation systems. Temporarily. Admiral Nelson frowned. Minutes, maybe an hour at most, Olivia admitted, but that should be enough time for the diplomatic team to secure some kind of agreement. In the Council chamber, the debate had grown heated. Commander Krexvor had been brought in under guard, his unauthorized attack exposing deep divisions within the Council leadership. Humans have now destroyed 6 of our warships, Thalzor noted. No species has inflicted such damage in 1,000 years. Because we have grown complacent, Elder Mevinar said. We stopped evolving. Stopped adapting. Vexteri glared at Ambassador Patrick Douglas. This changes nothing. The main invasion fleet is still en route. Earth will submit or be destroyed. Patrick maintained his calm demeanor. There is another option. Several council members have already expressed interest in a new type of relationship, A true alliance rather than subjugation. Impossible, Vex Terry declared. The Council has one structure, one way. Then perhaps, Patrick suggested, it is time for the Council to evolve. Before Vex Terry could respond, the lights in the chamber flickered. Emergency alarms began blaring throughout the ship. On the command deck, Susan and her team activated Dr. Wright's device. Blue energy pulsed from the small machine, coursing through the ship's communication systems and outward to the entire Council fleet. Ship after ship reported system failures, weapons going offline, navigation controls freezing. "It's working," Eric called out. Susan nodded grimly. Phase 2. Send the message. Across every Council ship, on every communication channel, displays activated showing scenes from Earth, not of military preparations, but of ordinary life. Families sharing meals, children playing, artists creating, scientists working. And between these images, a simple message repeated. We choose freedom. We offer friendship. We will not submit. In the Council chamber, the confusion turned to shock as the same images appeared on their main display. Patrick stood watching Vex Terry's reaction. "What have you done?" the High Counselor demanded. "Shown you who we really are," Patrick answered, "and demonstrated that we can reach into the heart of your fleet at will." He stepped forward. "Your weapons are temporarily disabled. Your ships cannot move. This is not to harm you, but to create a moment of pause, a chance to truly talk as equals." Elder Mevnar rose from her seat, her ancient eyes fixed on Patrick. "In all my centuries, I have never seen such audacity." A slow smile spread across her alien features. "It reminds me of what the Council once was, before we forgot our purpose." Throughout the Council fleet, captains and crews watched the images from Earth. Many had never seen the people they were ordered to subjugate. Some began to question why these beings who created such beauty and lived with such passion should be forced to kneel. And on distant worlds under Council control, where news of Earth's defiance had spread, the first seeds of change began to take root. 6 months after the standoff at the Council headquarters, Commander Alice Brooks stood at the observation window of the newly constructed Terran embassy. The massive structure floated in neutral space between Earth and the former Council capital world. Its design blended human architecture with elements from a dozen alien species, symbolizing the new alliance that had replaced the old order. "Quite a view," said a familiar voice behind her. Alice turned to see Admiral Richard Nelson approaching, his uniform now adorned with new insignia representing Earth's interstellar fleet. "I still can't believe we're here," Alice admitted. "Sometimes I wake up thinking that it was all a dream." Richard smiled. "No dream, just the stubbornness of the human spirit." Below them, ships of various designs moved through space, human vessels flying alongside alien craft from worlds that had quickly aligned with Earth after the Council's restructuring. The old Council had fractured after the events at the headquarters, with Vex Terry and Krexvor removed from power. "The Galactic Assembly convenes in 1 hour," Richard reminded her. "President Martinez is counting on your report." Alice nodded. The transition hasn't been easy, but 17 former Council worlds have already signed the Terran Accords. And the holdouts. "Still watching and waiting," Alice said. "Can't blame them after centuries of Council rule. Change takes time." Across the galaxy, on a world far from Earth, locals gathered around public screens to watch the upcoming Galactic Assembly meeting. Their species had suffered under Council dominance for generations. "Is it true?" a young one asked an elder. "That these humans defeated the Council without even trying to join it first?" The elder nodded. "They showed us a different path. Not submission, not isolation, but true cooperation. And now we watch. And perhaps soon, we join them." In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Assembly, representatives from dozens of worlds took their seats. The chamber looked similar to the old Council chamber, but with significant differences. All seats were arranged in a circle at the same level, with no elevated positions. Equality was built into the very architecture. President Laura Martinez took center stage, looking confident but humble before the gathered representatives. 6 months ago, Earth faced extinction for refusing to submit to the Council's demands, she began. Today, we gather as equals to continue building something new together. The Terran Accords establish principles that benefit all: sovereignty for each world, shared defense, open exchange of knowledge, and mutual respect. Elder Mevinar, now serving as interim leader of the Reformed Council faction, nodded in agreement. For too long, the Council forgot its original purpose. It was never meant to conquer, but to unite. Humans reminded us of this truth, though the lesson came at great cost. In Earth orbit, Dr. Olivia Wright supervised the construction of the first true joint human-alien research facility. Beside her stood Kethran of the Valthrani, whose people had emerged from hiding to become one of Earth's strongest allies. "Your species moves quickly," Kethran observed as another module was attached to the growing structure. Olivia smiled. "We've had a lot of catching up to do." "Not anymore," Kethran replied. "Already your innovations are spreading throughout former Council space. That adaptive shield matrix you designed has rendered several weapons of war obsolete. You're changing everything." On the embassy observation deck, Alice and Richard were joined by Ambassador Patrick Douglas, freshly returned from diplomatic missions to formerly hostile worlds. "How goes the diplomatic front?" Alice asked. Patrick smiled tiredly. "Better than expected. Even some of the militaristic factions are coming around. They respected our strength, but they're staying for our ideas." Richard looked out at the stars beyond the bustling space lanes and the deep space explorations. "Finding new worlds weekly," Patrick said, "some with pre-spaceflight civilizations. The Assembly is implementing protection protocols based on our own suggested guidelines." Alice felt a surge of pride. "So we went from fighting for our survival to setting interstellar policy in 6 months." "Actually," Patrick corrected with a smile, "it started the moment you walked away from Vexteri's first demand for submission. Everything since then has just been the galaxy catching up to that decision." As the three humans looked out at the stars, a communication officer approached. "Commander Brooks, we're receiving a transmission from a previously uncontacted region. They say they've heard about Earth and the Terran Accords. They want to talk." Alice exchanged glances with her colleagues. Their work was just beginning. "Tell them," she said, "that we're listening."